Okay, shalom. Okay, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Wakakadash. Okay, double honors to our apostles, a great millstone. This is GMS. Salutation, peace and bless to the fellow laborers. Okay, people of Negro and Indian descent, who are faith-based. Right. What I have here is the Vatican removed 14 books from the Bible in 1684 with no real explanation. Okay, but there's always a real explanation behind it all. It started back then. The campaign of deceit, started stepping up his game. There's campaign of deceit, and during that period of time when they were, you can say during the Renaissance where, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, where you're not just covering the faces of the judges, making the true righteous people look like them. They give you their version of actual history itself, and that's by, again, through a great campaign of deceit and lies. Okay. So, again, typically when the Bible, I'm going to start reading here, typically when the Bible is brought up in conversations, what comes to mind is a source of truth that has not been tampered with. Okay, so we still have access to the Apocrypha, which those are the 14 books they're mentioning here. Is the Apocrypha, which we still have copies of that Bible itself, which goes down here, it mentions it to 1611. But let me read on down. However, when this book was originally published and contained 80 books, and current editions only have 66, and we have to wonder what exact purpose the removal of the 14 books will serve. The Vatican Church, or Roman Catholic Church, has been associated with deception for ages, and still are. Their atrocities have ranged from genocide many centuries ago against the Catholics to child molestation in more recent years. The Bible was originally translated from Latin into English in 1611. This original Bible contains 80 books, including the Apocrypha, which means hidden. Okay, and this Apocrypha, it's powerful in itself because it gives you an example of, well, actually, it's all history. But this book, the Apocrypha, it gives you names. It names names, which you can actually pinpoint to actual history. And this is what I'm gonna give you an example, show you an example of this Bible and the Apocrypha is on point with history. And you have these groups out there like that clown Vocab Malone and various other religious leaders and heads and churches that condemn the Apocrypha. Don't use the Apocrypha, just totally stray away from it. So here's an example, like I was going into on the highways and the byways the other day, mentioning about this devil and how he's going to get paid back for what he's done, and what I was just in the spirit going into this, how proud this devil is, and in the midst of his pride, the height of his pride, he was brought down and brought low. So I'm going to the second Maccabees. It's like it's the 13th, 9th, 13th. I'm slacking. I'm sorry. Slacking. Let me get this here. Second, it's the 8th. No, it's the 9th chapter. And you can actually start in the 8th, second Maccabees 8 as well. But let me start here in second Maccabees 9 though, which again I went through the whole chapter the other day out there on those streets. For some reason I confused myself with Antiochus itself, which everybody know Antiochus Epiphanes was a goddamn Edomite. But anyway, I've been out there, man. You're trying to keep your thoughts trained in the spirit of keeping it on a specific path, and it's, it's just I literally did confuse myself with epiphanies, with Antiochus, and I kind of made the mistake in identifying him with the Persian Empire, which he actually went to war with the Persian Empire. But anyway, let me grab this here. I can't get it in a blue letter because there is no blue letter. Let me go to here. Let me go to this second ad, and this is bad. And I'm going to do a little skipping here. Do a little skip down. I'm gonna skip down to the main point. Okay, second. Where you at? Here you go. Here you go. And this is all on point with history, which what I'm referring to history. Go to the blue letter here. Here you go. Go to the blue letter here. Okay. You can see what I'm Antiochus Epiphanes. Okay, let's go down. Persecution of the Jews, the Book of Maccabees. Local revolts against the Seleucid Empire were not unusual, but most were not successful. The revolt the Antiochus had triggered in Judea was unusual, well chronicled and preserved. However, according to the book of Second Maccabees, while Antiochus was companion in Egypt, rumors spread that he had been killed. In Judea, the deposed high priest Jason gathered a force of 1,000 soldiers. They made a surprise attack on the city of Jerusalem. Menelaus, the high priest appointed by Antiochus, was forced to flee Jerusalem during a riot. King Antiochus returned from Egypt in 168 BC. Enraged by his defeat, he entered Jerusalem to restore Menelaus, then executed many Jews. When these happenings were reported to the king, he thought that Judea was in revolt, raging like a wild animal. And doesn't that explain that raging as a wild animal in the second Maccabees, before he got hit with that incurable disease? Raging like a wild animal, he set out from Egypt and took Jerusalem by storm. He ordered his soldiers to cut down without mercy those whom they met and to slay those who took refuge in their houses. There was a massacre of young and old, a killing of women and children. And let me add this, another thing with the Greeks, starting with Philip and Alexander, and continuing on well into the Roman Empire, that these devils had that same characteristics of slaughtering women and children. There was a massacre of young and old, a killing of women and children. And even through Israel, when Yahweh Bashim Yahushai ordered men to go in and kill all, the men, women, children, and cattle and all. But they slaughtered virgins and infants in the space of 3 days. 80,000 were lost, 40,000 meeting a violent death, and the same number being sold into slavery. Here's my point. I wanted to get to my point. Traditionally, as expressed in the first and second books of the Maccabees, the Maccabean revolt was repainted as a national resistance to a foreign political and cultural oppression. In modern times, however, scholars have argued that Antiochus was more intervening in civil wars between traditional Jews in the country and the Hellenized Jews in Jerusalem. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to pull something up on my phone here. Okay. So and let me go back. Scholars have argued that Antiochus IV was more intervening in a civil war between the traditionalist Jews in the country and the Hellenized Jews in Jerusalem, all in the Maccabees, the book of Maccabees. You go to, let me grab my Bible. That's what you want to call black on black crime here. That war between the again the traditional Jews and the Hellenized Jews. Hellenized meaning that they were speaking Greek. They were speaking the Greek language. They were living after the Greek customs. First Maccabees 1:11. In those days went there out Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, "Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow." All right, and the scriptures clearly tell you. Here, let me just pull it up. Jeremiah 10:1. Okay. Oh, come on. Hold on. I'm gonna have to get up and get my Bible. If you don't come, see, I'm gonna have to get up and get my Bible here. I can't even quote it quick. Okay. This should work out now. I got my sword. Okay. Had to get my sword. Okay. Okay, so there's several scriptures here. Okay. This is Jeremiah 10:1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Okay. And there you go. That's the point I wanted right there. Learn not the way of the heathen. And again, there's a couple other scriptures as well. And I might as well just go into it. Okay, let me grab this one here. Okay, 18:9. Deuteronomy 18:9. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. Perfect example. Perfect example there. Let me grab another one here. Deuteronomy 12. Deuteronomy 12 and 1. These are the statutes and judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land, which the Lord thy power of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it all the days that ye live upon the earth. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye have possessed serve their Shalaka. You shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree. And ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire, and ye shall hew down and degrade the images of their gods and destroy the names of them out of that place. Ye shall not do so unto the Lord. Ye shall not do so unto the Lord your power, but unto the place which the Lord your power shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. So let me continue reading here. And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and heave offerings of your hand and your vows and your free will offerings and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. And there ye shall eat before the Lord your power, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put in your hand unto ye and your households, wherein the Lord thy power hath blessed thee. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. So I can read that again. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which the Lord your power giveth thee. All right, so let me go back to that again. Where was I? Under Antiochus. Okay. In modern times, however, scholars have argued that Antiochus IV was more intervening in a civil war between the traditionalist Jews in the country and the Hellenized Jews in Jerusalem. Final years, King Mithridates, first of Parthia, took advantage of Antiochus' western problems and attacked from the east, seizing the city of Herat in 167 BC and disrupting the direct trade route to India, effectively splitting the Greek world in two. Antiochus recognized the potential danger in the east, but was unwilling to give up control of Judea. He sent a commander named Lysias to deal with the Maccabees, while the king himself led the main Seleucid army against the Parthians. Antiochus had initially success in his eastern campaign, including the reoccupation of Armenia, but he died of disease in 164 BC. Let's keep going though. Various religious explanations exist of Antiochus IV's death. Apparently, he attacked a temple of the Mesopotamian deity Nanania in Persia shortly before his demise, and his death was possibly attributed to impiety and punishment by Nanaya in some quarters. And let me go into this here, because not familiar with this Nanaya. Not familiar with it. Schlock it. Come on. Let's see what it says here. Oh, come on. It's not giving me nothing. Here we go. Wikipedia. Okay. Nanaya. Subscribe as Nane. Naja. In Greek. Antiquated transcription. Nana in Greek was a Mesopotamian goddess of love, a false god again, closely associated with Inanna, but not identical to her, while she is well attested. So that's one of their false gods here. Let me go back. Come on. Okay, where was I at? Okay. And his death was possibly attributed to impiety and punishment by Nanaya, this false god. But we already know that it was Yahweh. In some quarters, Jewish sources gave credit to Antiochus' death to his early impiety at the temple of Jerusalem, according to 2 Maccabees. He died from divinely inflicted disease. Divinely, by the power of the Most High, or God. By the power of God or a God. He regards the Bible as divinely inspired. Okay, so that's all scriptural here. That's what I'm saying, man. That's the whole point is, like I said, these people, these fools deny this apocrypha, man, but it's just a history book. It's on point. And again, what I'm naming here by reading these things is I'm actually reading history. It's naming the names. It's pinpointing times in history. All right. About the time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia, for he had entered the city called Persepolis and went about to rob the temple and to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight. And so it happened that Antiochus being put to flight, the inhabitants returned with shame. He was defeated, just like it's mentioning here. I'm not sure if I mentioned it. Let's try to split it in two. All right, don't worry about that. Let me just get down to the point here. Okay, well, like I said, where it said here, he died. He died from divinely inflicted disease. And this is history that's taught in the schools, you know, where they don't go on specific to tell you that the Maccabees were the tribe of Judah, the 3 tribes of Judah. All right. Get to my point. Here we go. Then, swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. Therefore commanded he his chariot men to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of the Most High now following him, for he had spoken proudly in the sword that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common birthplace of the Jews. But the Lord Almighty, Yahweh, the power of Israel, smote him with an incurable and visible plague. Or as soon as he had spoken these words, the pain of the bowels that was relentless came upon him, and sword of torments of their inner parts. And Jacob's about to witness their God, this damn devil, and rule get destroyed, man. And he's going to get destroyed right along with them. You know, he's going to join hand to hand with this devil, man, and get destroyed right along with them. You know, well, you know, and as the scripture has said, Jacob made a covenant with death. Which, let me get that in Isaiah. This is powerful, man, you know. Just going through this here, you know, the Vatican removing these books. Later in 1864, all these books were removed from the Bible in all of its various versions. The only one left intact was the 1611 edition. Let me get on my point, though. Get back to this Isaiah. I'm all over the place here. This is how it is when you're going into history. A lot of the times, it can get a little confusing. A lot of jakes aren't even interested in the videos when it comes to going into the history itself. I'm not an expert with that, though. I read into it, but there's brothers that can actually interpret it, you know, like a second nature, you know, actual history itself. You know, the Most High appointed teachers. He appointed prophets. He appointed, you know. Let me find that. Here you go. Isaiah 28. Wherefore hear the word of the Lord, ye scornful men that rule this people which is in Jerusalem. And that's rule the people. You look at the so-called leadership, and look at where they come up out of. They coming through these universities, and again they make a vow and these oaths through these fraternities and sororities, which is Greek customs. You know, it says, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. You know, when the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. These simple-minded niggas, man. These simple-minded niggas. Let me go back to that. Okay, where we at? One of the most interesting books of the removed was the Wisdom of Solomon. Solomon is one of the most legendary biblical figures from the Bible, and he was the son of David and the wisest man that ever lived. Typically, he portrayed as a benevolent figure. However, this book will change everything that you ever learn about him. And they go off a lot. They're going off a lot as far as what they're, when they mention these, just speaking about Solomon, and people don't know how to interpret these scriptures correctly, period. It bug you out when you read this. Well, I'm not going to go into that right now. Well, you know what? Clearly, Wisdom of Solomon 2:1-24, for the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, not all right. And they're trying to identify Solomon as one of the ungodly, reason with themselves, but not all right. Our life is short and tedious. And this is what, when you read that's what they're doing. They identify Solomon as the ungodly. People are crazy, man. It seems that Solomon was speaking of Jesus, but Jesus was born roughly 90 years after his death. Could he have been prophesying Jesus coming? Let's consider why this could be. Who Solomon was talking about. They killed the son with a shameful death. The son's actions or fashions were different from everyone else, as he claimed to be and is the child of the Most High. It's just a bunch of madness. Ultimately, all around, it still is not they still didn't justify through this why they removed the actual books. So, hope you're ready to fight till next time, Lord willing. Shalom.